Can you give, as this maybe as we wrap up this discussion, a story or an example of somebody you know that how did they get a testimony of visiting teaching? What happened for you or for somebody that you know that actually changed their heart about visiting teaching?
The change comes when you have an experience that is different than an experience you've had before. When you, and it needs to be you yourself, I would say the visiting teacher has to take the responsibility to say, I want a different experience than the one I've been having that will help me have a testimony of visiting teaching. I think of a story of a young mother I know who lived far away from her family, and she told me that her husband went out of town. She had a number of little children. She was expecting in a high-risk pregnancy, and all of a sudden they all got sick. And the sickest one was the mother, and the baby was at risk, and this young little family wasn't eating. They weren't being cared for, and the mother was not even able to really get to the phone until finally her mother calling was able to get one of the younger children to answer the phone and take it to the mother. The mother said, where are your visiting teachers? And the situation was dire enough that the mother then called around and found some help and got people in there to take care of this family. Well, it turns out that this woman, when it sorted out, had been reported as having visiting teachers, but she said, I don't even know who my visiting teachers are. So somewhere along the line, whoever her visiting teachers were, they'd been talking to her at church and saying, how are you doing, and thinking that was fine and checking it off. But when the moment of truth came, when I have a need and who's going to take action, there was no one who she knew to call, no one there to help. So the Relief Society president, in visiting with her, was talking about her needs. She says, let me guess, you've been trying to match me up with friends and peers of my own age. She says, yes, I have. She says, I can make my own friends. I live far away from my mother, and I have this young family, and I need different kind of teaching. I need a grandmother. I need someone to do for me the things my mother would do if she were here. And the light went on for that Relief Society president, and assignments were changed, and that family received a grandmother that would come and encourage and teach. And she was a retired sister. She showed how to plant a garden. She was willing to babysit for this woman to be able to go to the temple. She said, the greatest service my visiting teacher does for me is take care of my children so I can get to the temple every month. That is something we should report. What better thing could we do for a young mother than to say, I'll watch your children so you can get to the temple? Those are the kinds of things we would be able to do if we would think in more inspired